Hello and welcome back. I'm sure by now you probably guessed what this is going to be about, and you're right. Have you seen this movie? Well, let me tell you, I just went to see it last week and it was awesome. Funnier than ever and occasionally even a little scary. The effects are solid too. They practically use the same practical effects as the original, and any modern CGI or AI effects were hardly noticeable, blending in perfectly throughout the whole movie. The most important cast members are back, like Michael Keaton as Beetlejuice, Winona Ryder as Lydia Deetz, and Catherine O'Hara as Delia Deetz. So if you're a big fan of these movies, I totally recommend it. So after watching this movie, and well, you know me, it got me thinking, why don't I make a video about it to present some grammar rules? Sounds like a fun idea, no? Who said yes? Ah, you there in the back too? Awesome. So let's get started, shall we? It's showtime. Just like Beetlejuice has its own mischievous schemes, English grammar has its own little tricks. Comparatives and superlatives. You see, Beetlejuice might be scarier than other ghosts, but Lydia? Oh, she's the bravest. And that's exactly what we're going to talk about today. How to compare things in English, whether it's ghosts, houses, or Tim Burton's quirkiest creations. Let's start by looking at how to say someone or something is more or less than another. It's like saying, Beetlejuice is ruder than Adam and Barbara, right? Or, if we want to take it up a notch, we say Beetlejuice is the most mischievous of them all. Another thing worth pointing out is the special effects, which were more modern than the original. The new visuals are the most impressive so far. The production team used traditional stop motion and animatronics for certain scenes, while AI and CGI were incorporated subtly, enhancing rather than overwhelming the visuals. This perfect balance ensured the new film stayed true to its roots without relying too heavily on modern technology, which is exactly what I was expecting from this movie, and that's exactly what I got. Also, the effects for the sandworms are much bigger and more realistic in the sequel. The afterlife is much weirder than the world of the living, and if you see the movie, you'll know what I mean. I don't want to give too much away, but it's far more expanded, and you get to see a lot more of the afterlife. So, the world of the dead is the strangest place in the movie. And there's also Beetlejuice. What can we say about him? Other than he's ruder than most of the other characters, right? But he's also the funniest. I think it's safe to say that of all the characters, he's the most unpredictable. The Deetz family has a much modern house than the Maitlands did, and as I said earlier, Delia is back, funnier than ever, with her funny attitude and peculiar taste for art. Case in point, one of my favorite scenes in this movie is one in which she's taking multiple pictures of her face as if she were screaming just to try and capture her best scream face. And as for the Maitland's house, it was simpler, but it was also cozier. If you're familiar with his work, then you know he's always darker and quirkier than other directors, and whose work has been appreciated in other movies like Edward Scissorhands, The Corpse Bride, to mention a couple. But back to the movie. Beetlejuice's plans are more complicated than anyone else's, but they are also the most entertaining. So in this movie, and spoiler alert, he will try to marry someone. I'm not telling you who, but he will. And trust me, it's gonna be very, very funny. So as you can imagine with this puppy, when a ghost wants to settle down, he really goes all out, you know? If you know what I mean. Overall, the original remains the most iconic, but this sequel is definitely funnier than I expected. Okay, so to wrap things up, I've gotta say, Beetlejuice really nails it. It brings back that same quirky essence we all loved from the original movie. You know, that weird mix of dark humor, spooky vibes, and just enough weirdness to keep you hooked. And what's even more impressive is how it does all that without relying too much on the crazy CGI we see in a lot of movies these days. It's like a breath of fresh air to see practical effects done so well again, just like in the good old days. So honestly, like I said at the beginning, if you're a fan of the first movie, you're going to love this one. It doesn't try too hard, it doesn't overthink things, it just delivers on the classic Beetlejuice chaos we came for. It's fun, it's dark, and somehow it's still got that signature Tim Burton magic. And if you're into quirky, offbeat style, this movie is definitely worth checking out. Video's over? Not quiet. Not without some classic exercises, it's not. Alright, so I guess that's it for today. And just like Beetlejuice is the ghost with the most, I'm the host with the most. Ideas to boost your English skills. See you next video.